Picture this. It is 2 in the morning. You have been asleep for less than 90 minutes. Your bladder wakes you before your alarm does, again, and you lie there for a moment in the dark, hoping the feeling will pass, knowing it will not. You make the trip. You climb back into bed. You close your eyes. And 40 minutes later, just as sleep begins to return, it happens again. If you are over 60, and this is your night, every night, I want to tell you something that most physicians will never take the time to explain. What is waking you up is almost certainly not what you think it is. And the thing most people do to try to fix it, carefully managing how much water they drink, is only addressing a fraction of the actual problem. The real mechanism behind nighttime urination in adults over 60 involves something happening in your legs during the day, something completely invisible, something that has nothing to do with your bladder at all. And when I explain it to patients in my clinic, the reaction is almost always the same. Complete disbelief followed by complete relief. My name is Dr. Richard Ben. I am a practicing urologist with 24 years of experience treating bladder dysfunction, nocturia, and age-related urinary conditions. I have worked with thousands of patients, most of them over 60, who came to me exhausted and convinced they had a serious bladder disease. And the majority of them simply did not understand what their body was doing at night or why. A landmark study from Nagasaki University found that targeted changes to fluid timing alone reduced nighttime urination by 40% in adults over 65. No medication, no surgery, no procedures. But that is only the beginning of what I want to show you today. I am going to walk you through 3 habits ranked from foundational to genuinely life-altering. The third one will immediately improve your sleep. The second will compound that improvement over weeks. And the first, the one I am going to make you wait for because it deserves that anticipation, is the single most surprising and clinically impactful piece of information I share with patients in my 24 years of practice. It is counterintuitive. It involves a part of your body that has nothing to do with your bladder. And I promise you, by the time I explain it, you will never think about your nighttime bathroom trips the same way again. Let us begin with habit 3, and with something that almost every patient in my clinic gets exactly backwards. Your kidneys are not passive filters running at a constant rate 24 hours a day. They are rhythmic organs that change their behavior dramatically based on time of day. During daylight hours, your kidneys operate in full production mode, filtering blood rapidly and generating urine at a high rate. But as evening approaches and your body prepares for sleep, a hormone called vasopressin rises in your bloodstream. Vasopressin signals your kidneys to slow urine production, concentrate what they do make, and allow your bladder to rest through the night. This is your body's natural design. The problem is that drinking a large volume of fluid in the 2 to 3 hours before bed overwhelms that vasopressin signal. Your kidneys keep producing urine while you try to sleep, and your bladder fills faster than your brain's sleep centers can suppress the urge to void. A 2020 University of Toronto study examined 412 adults with documented nocturia and found that implementing a fluid cutoff 2 to 3 hours before bedtime reduced average nighttime voids from 2.8 per night to 1.6, a 43% improvement. A 2018 Netherlands study confirmed these findings, showing that evening fluid restriction led to a 38% reduction in nocturnal urine output in adults 60 and above. After 60, vasopressin secretion measurably declines. Research from the University of Amsterdam found that adults over 65 produce up to 30% less vasopressin at night compared to adults in their 30s and 40s. This means 2 or 3 glasses of evening fluid that your body handled effortlessly at 40 can now tip your bladder past threshold at 68. This is not disease. It is biology. And it is biology you can work with starting tonight. Identify your target bedtime and count back 2.5 hours. That is your last fluid intake moment. Your final beverage should be no more than 6 ounces, and it must not contain caffeine or alcohol because both directly suppress vasopressin function and will increase your nighttime urine output regardless of how small the volume is. One of my patients, Mahi, 68 years old, a retired teacher, was waking up 4 times every night. She was drinking herbal tea and water right up until she turned off the light. We implemented a 7:30 cutoff based on her 10:30 bedtime. Within 3 weeks, she was down to one nighttime void. She told me she felt like she had her life back. Set a gentle phone reminder for your cutoff time tonight. That is all this requires. But this habit only solves part of the problem, because it addresses when you stop drinking. Habit 2 addresses when you start, and what most people get wrong about that is something I find in almost every fluid diary I review. Here's the pattern I see constantly. Patients drink very little in the morning because they do not feel thirsty, a moderate amount at lunch, and then they spend the afternoon and evening trying to catch up, flooding their system with fluid exactly when their kidneys need to be winding down. This is physiologically backwards, and it is one of the primary drivers of nocturia in otherwise healthy adults over 60. Your kidneys process fluid most efficiently during the active, upright hours of the day, roughly 7 in the morning through early afternoon. During this window, your body's sodium regulation, aldosterone levels, and renal blood flow are all optimized for high-volume processing. If you consume the majority of your daily fluid, which for most adults should be between 1.5 and 2.5 liters, before 2 in the afternoon, your kidneys clear it efficiently through the day and your bladder does its normal work during waking hours. By evening, there is genuinely very little left for your kidneys to process. A 2021 clinical trial from Seoul National University Hospital divided 320 nocturia patients into 2 groups, a control group with no timing guidance and an intervention group that consumed 70% of daily fluid before 2 in the afternoon. After 8 weeks, the intervention group reported a 47% reduction in nighttime voids. The control group saw 9%. A 2019 Tokyo study showed that front-loaded hydration also reduced mean nocturnal urine volume by 35% in men aged 55 to 75. Robert was 71 years old, a retired engineer convinced he had serious prostate trouble after 2 years of waking 3 to 4 times every night. We did address mild prostate enlargement, but when I tracked his fluid habits with a 48-hour diary, the real picture emerged. He was drinking fewer than 400 milliliters before noon, then consuming nearly a liter between 6 and 9 in the evening. We simply flipped his schedule. A large glass of water first thing in the morning, consistent hydration through the day, firm stop at 7. Within 6 weeks, he was averaging 1 nighttime void. His smartwatch sleep score improved by 28 points. For adults over 65, front-loading becomes even more critical because the thirst sensation weakens measurably with age. A finding confirmed as far back as 1992 at the University of California and replicated many times since. Older adults consistently underdrink in the morning because they do not feel the signal, then overcompensate late in the day when habitual triggers prompt them to drink. Breaking this cycle is one of the most powerful sleep interventions available to you. Tomorrow morning, before coffee and before your phone, drink a full 8-ounce glass of water. Aim for 2 more glasses before noon. Set an 11 o'clock reminder if you need it. After lunch, taper gradually and by 5 in the afternoon shift to sipping only. Combined with your evening cutoff from habit 3, your kidneys now receive the volume they need early and the signal to rest that they need at night. But I told you at the beginning that the most important discovery is something you have almost certainly never considered. Something that happens while you sleep, that involves a part of your body that has nothing to do with your bladder. Here it is. For many adults over 60, nighttime urination is not primarily a bladder problem. It is a fluid redistribution problem. And understanding this changed everything for the most difficult patient I have worked with in years. Dorothy was 76 years old. For more than 3 years, she had been waking 4 to 5 times every night. She had tried 2 different medications. She had completed pelvic floor therapy. Nothing had given her sustained relief. When she finally came to me, the picture in her data was unmistakable. Her sodium intake was over 4,000 milligrams per day, and her nighttime urine output was 68% of her total daily urine volume. That last number is what tells the story. Here is the mechanism. When you consume a high-sodium diet, which the average adult absolutely does at nearly 3,400 milligrams daily according to the CDC, fluid accumulates in the soft tissues of your lower body throughout the day, particularly in your legs and ankles. You may not notice it as visible swelling. It can be subtle, but when you lie flat at night, gravity no longer holds that fluid in your legs. It redistributes upward, re-enters your circulation, travels directly to your kidneys, and is filtered into your bladder. This is why so many people feel perfectly fine at bedtime and then find themselves urgently awake within 60 to 90 minutes of falling asleep. The bladder was not full when they went to bed. It filled after. A 2017 Nagasaki University study enrolled 321 participants and had them reduce daily salt intake from an average of 10.7 grams to 8 grams, a modest reduction. That single change produced a 25% decrease in nighttime voids, from an average of 2.3 nightly trips to 1.7. A follow-up study from the same institution found that combining salt reduction with afternoon leg elevation produced a combined 52% reduction in nocturnal urinary volume, 52%, from 2 interventions that cost nothing. For Dorothy, we implemented sodium reduction to under 2,300 milligrams daily, added 30 to 45 minutes of afternoon leg elevation before dinner, and combined both with the hydration strategies we have already covered. Within 8 weeks, her nighttime voids dropped to 1 or 2. Her total nocturnal urine output fell by 44%. She wept at her follow-up appointment. 3 years of exhaustion, failed medications, interrupted sleep, and the answer had been hiding in her legs the entire time. After 60, this mechanism becomes dramatically more pronounced for 2 reasons. The venous walls in the legs become less elastic, making fluid pooling easier. And the heart's pumping efficiency often decreases modestly with age, meaning less fluid is returned from the legs during normal daytime activity. Johns Hopkins research published in 2016 confirmed that adults over 65 with even mild cardiovascular aging show significantly higher rates of nocturia related to this positional fluid shift compared to younger adults. Your action plan for this habit is straightforward. Spend 1 week honestly tracking your sodium. The largest hidden sources are bread, canned soups, deli meats, and restaurant meals. Aim for below 2,300 milligrams per day. And if you sit for extended periods in the afternoon, whether at a desk, watching television, or reading, elevate your legs for 30 to 45 minutes before dinner. A pillow under your calves works perfectly. This allows your circulatory system to return that pooled fluid to your bloodstream and kidneys while you are still awake and upright. Your bladder handles it before midnight instead of at 2 in the morning. Now let me show you how these 3 habits work as a single unified system, because the compounding effect is what makes this approach so powerful. Front-loaded hydration before 2 in the afternoon minimizes the fluid your kidneys have to process at night. Sodium reduction minimizes the fluid your tissues retain during the day, reducing the overnight redistribution flood. And your evening cutoff sends your kidneys into sleep mode with virtually nothing left to do. Each habit amplifies the others. Together, they address your nocturia from 3 different biological directions simultaneously, which is precisely why patients who implement all 3 consistently produce outcomes that no single intervention can match. Your body is not broken. Your kidneys have a schedule, a rhythm, a design that has been working on your behalf for 60, 70, or more years. These 3 habits simply stop working against that design and start working with it. The sleep you have been losing is not gone permanently. It is waiting for the right conditions, and now you know exactly how to create them.